Good evening.
Last and most excellently.
The first shall be last, and the last shall be first.
Yes, there shall be only one.
I'm last. I'm taking different now. Good evening. You take it one step at a time. All right. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. It's very rare for people to come to something like this. You know, there's like a million people in Austin, and there's you guys. It's really something. You know, it's like most people are not in the game. I'm drawn to watching stuff on YouTube from time to time. It's kind of a thing for me. And I don't always know why I'm drawn to it. And I've been drawn to wild animal, like prides of lions and packs of wolves and whatever, right? And their behavior fascinates me. The tribal behavior, how they survive, how they work together, and that kind of stuff. And lots of animals are extremely intelligent. I watched a documentary on crows and octopus, and let me tell you, they are smart. Like really smart. Multiple steps in solving problems, creating tools, like that. It really starts to beg the question of what makes us human beings. It's not intelligence, it's not tools, it's not problem solving, it's not learning. So what is it? It's an interesting question for me. Given the business I'm in, working with people. So I had sort of a realization that it really hit home with me. And it came from one of the documentaries that I watched, and the statement was, here's the little tiny difference that makes the difference. Human beings love teaching each other. Very intelligent animals will observe and learn very complex things, but the animal A is not like instructing. The animal who's doing the thing that's being learned has no commitment, but the second animal learns it. And that is something that is uniquely human. Right? So you're here learning, teaching, this whole, infinite cycle of learning and teaching and being together, being connected, right, for all of our benefit. I say is uniquely human and a very high state of being a human being. And an interest and hunger and willingness to step into the discomfort, to expand and grow and, learn more about the world and ourselves and what's out there and what's possible. It's a very unique thing. So I notice, I appreciate it, and I acknowledge it. It's very interesting that Lewis chose to play the music today, because that's me playing live. It's in New Orleans about 5 or 6 years ago. It was a one-night stand, and a bunch of guys got together, and that was one of the tracks. It's very interesting to play that, because what I want to start with today is share something rather personal and intimate. I've been playing music for over 40 years, and I'm a pretty high-level accomplished drummer. I played in New Orleans and Austin as a hired gun, and sort of the last-minute guy, the relief pitcher of drummers, if you will. And so I practice, and I have a commitment to playing at a high level. And one day, about 3 or 4 years ago, and this day was not exceptional in any way, so I was just practicing, as I've been doing for a very long time. And I'm working on something that's very difficult, high level, advanced. I've been literally working on it for years, which is how, it's like struggle and effort, starting again, and that kind of thing. Something very difficult, right at the edge of my capacity. And then I'm practicing, and something happens that's never happened before. 2 things. One is I bust out laughing, and I mean like for reals, full laughter while I'm playing. And I'm professional enough to know to never stop playing. So I'm just like playing, working on this thing, right? Playing the music, and trying to work this thing out. And all of a sudden I bust out laughing, and it's like both fun because I'm laughing, and very puzzling and curious. Right? What is going on? Next thing that happens is I shout at the top of my lungs, it's all about the energy. And then I start laughing like a hysterical maniac while I'm playing, because I'm a professional, I'm playing, working this thing out. And this happens repeatedly, full laughter. I'm not, something else is driving. I know what it feels like when I'm driving, and this was not it. So another thing that happens is, so Singapore workout was very technically difficult. And I have a very distinct experience of, there's this red, purple, blue, sort of dark, cold, pulsing light over here. Vaguely, it's not like this, no, it wasn't like a hallucination, I just had this experience. And over here, I had an experience of like a white, yellow, orange, warm light. And as I kind of, I don't think I moved my body, although I may have, as I kind of leaned in over here, right, I'm playing. This thing is very difficult for me. As I lean this way, it's a very familiar feeling, like effort, there's some math, there's some calculating, I start here, shift in here, right? Effort, concentration, that kind of thing. And then I lean over here, and all of a sudden, this thing I'm working on becomes dirt easy. I mean, dirt easy. My hands are just naturally working. My hands are leaving the sticks, and like all of a sudden, it's just like I'm barely hanging on. They're floating around, hitting perfectly. Just like, oh my gosh. If you're a musician, having played for 40 years and you have a commitment to playing well, this is a big deal. It's literally years of effort. Boom! Don't just start laughing and yelling. It's all about the energy. And all of a sudden, this whole new capacity comes on. Still being a consummate professional, I let this go until it's mine, because I'm not going to have the story that, like, I don't know what happened. I lost it, right? We're not doing that. So back and forth, lean over here, lean over here, lean over here. It's 100% like quarterly, right? Back at the end, front again, they move at the same time, no matter how tricky I get. It's like that. I lean over here, familiar, struggle, effort, math, thinking over here, joy. So that happens for a little while, and I dial it in, baby, I'm for real. So that finally just physically and emotionally exhausted, I'm curious as all get out. Like, I don't know what has happened. And I go over to my desk and I sit there like I don't really have a box. I've never been a particularly woo-woo person. I've been very slow to certain conversations, you know. So this was not like inevitable, at least for me, right? At least in my reality. So anyway, sitting at my desk going like this. Then, extra laughter, then extra loud, extra pointed, for real. It is all about the energy. And in that moment, I was super duper crystal clear that the all that was being spoken of, not by me, and by me, was the circumstances I was dealing with. Coming out of a 10-year relationship, getting ready to leave this house, getting ready to leave my city, getting ready to leave my job, don't really have a plan, have a lot of fear, anxiety, and uncertainty, right? And it was the kind of situation where I'm really good at plans, I make a living out of it, I'm very innovative, creative, I'll make anything out of nothing in 5 minutes flat. I could not really see how I was going to navigate the next few months of my life, like the obstacles are going to be that big. And what I got was, it's all about the energy, like all about the energy. And there was a little follow-up conversation that happened after that, and I didn't speak it, but it was here, which is, look, you're going to be busy from time to time. It's not about never being busy, right? Sometimes there'll be like, all hands on deck, you know, whatever. But it's not about that. It's not about what you're doing. It's about the energy. And so I just kind of like, you know, let that settle in for a while. I didn't really know what to do with it. And so let's pause that for a second. New conversation. Some of you will be very familiar with this. Some may not. There's an experiment. I think it's called the split test experiment, something. But it literally proves that subatomic particles behave differently when observed by consciousness. Yeah. Not unobserved. Unobserved, they behave 100% predictably. Observed by a wooden block, nothing. Observed by a human being, the particles literally act differently. Now, I heard this years ago, but it didn't really register. It registered like, oh, that's kind of cool. Huh. Quantum physics, never know. But in the face of this all about the energy thing and some other things, this thing about particles behave differently when observed by consciousness. There's two things crazy about it. One is this is all space and particles. There's nothing here. As they get into physics and stuff, there's an atom. Oh, well, these little hard things floating around. They get into little hard things. No, energy. They break those open. No, not just all energy. It's like literally nothing here. Like literally. And yet my knuckles hurt. Yeah. So actual particles in the real world get impacted by consciousness. So first of all, particles get impacted. Secondly, you are an emitter of energy. Oh my gosh, you can move particles around with your observance. These scientists were trying, don't get me wrong, they were not like, go left, go left. Oh. They just observed like, hey, this is like different, what's going on? I don't know. They finally like figured it out, like they weren't looking for it. This is crazy. So,
Go left.
So, I believe the topic is something about conscious relationships or something. So guess what? You are a energy transmitter. And energy transmitter. You're an energy receiver, transmitter, receiver. Well, everybody's ever all of it, right? So, okay, let's pause that. Third little piece. Was in a seminar workshop thing some years back, and there's this exercise where there's an A and a B. A shares about something they're super excited about. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to tell you. B is just as excited. Tell me about it. A shares with B. Hey, how was that? Oh, it was amazing. She's such a good listener. I kind of really like her. Can I get her? You like that, right? So good, right? Great. Same exercise. This time, however, you couldn't care less. Checking the phone, looking around, interrupted. You go, hey, how was that like? It's like, I couldn't think. I couldn't remember what I was talking about. Now, I remember that experience, and I was the person when the person who was listening was excited, I was just like, boom. When that person shut down and looked around, like I literally forgot what I was trying to share about. And then when I started to struggle through it, I felt shame and embarrassment. My voice was gone, my power was gone. Now, I'm a pretty tough guy. I can tell you some stories. So it's not like I was taken out by something, and I was taken out by something. So it's three interesting things, right? It's all about the energy. Let's say something was speaking to me that had something to say. I don't know. So it's all about the energy. Matter actually responds to conscious observance. And when you're with someone who loves you, or is excited about you, or wants the best for you, or takes the time to care about what you care about, you will come to life. And then when you're with, like Artemis said beautifully, be where you're celebrated, not tolerated, right? It makes a difference. It makes a difference when you wake up. It makes it all day long. It makes it. So here's the beauty. Here's the part you may have missed. That's the impact you can have on anybody in life. Just your. I've practiced this thing, light, love, and connection. So I've been coaching for a long time. I've coached a lot of people, and I've had a lot of situations where I meet somebody for the first time, phone or person, and there's like a duress thing, and I'm working with them like right in the heat of the moment. Right? That's kind of common. So I get to, interact with people. I get to be with people when they really need somebody to be with. Like when you're, yeah. And so here's what I noticed. I started off like every coach does discovery calls. I call mine the challenge call. Super cool name, fun little story behind it, whatever. But the point is, what I noticed doing all these calls with people is there's really three things that everybody is starving for: light, love, and connection. The light of that thing that you covet, that thing that you hold dear, that thing that you love, that thing that you want, the thing that you desire, the thing that's been your dream your whole life. It's possible. Like for real, it's possible. And everything, all the doubt, everything that these beautiful presenters have been speaking about today, yeah, that's all in there, all the doubt and the humanity. But it's possible. And people need to hear that from time to time, especially from someone they think is credible. It turned my career around. One day, I'm a copier rep in New Orleans, struggling, but training myself, really committed, like working really hard, reading all the books, right? And one day, this guy who I respect says, hey, you're going to be one of the greats. I'm like, dude, no. Here's why. He broke it down for me. I was like, I started to, only because I trusted him. he was one of the greats of my book. And I wasn't asking, I was just doing my thing, and people left everybody started talking to me. I believed it. And then that turned my career around. So that thing that I coveted, that I dreamed about, someone said, hey, that's possible. And I believed them, and guess what? Boom. Love. The love I'm speaking of is the love of acceptance. You could say the love of granting space and the granting of being. Have you ever noticed people, including you, get yourself in crazy situations all the time? Yes. Have you ever noticed that you've been ways that you don't recognize the next day? People are crazy, including you and me. Fortunately, it's not a problem, but it's good to start there. And so, the love of acceptance is when you've done that crazy thing, or you've been that crazy way, you don't have anything to deal with over here. I accept you the way you are, the way you're not, like that. Right? Yeah. I notice people are literally dying like it's a little dramatic. People are literally starving to death for that kind of acceptance. Everybody's jumping around trying to be a certain way. What are they going to think? Blah, blah, blah. Very few people get to be accepted and celebrate who they are in life.
Yeah.
So life, love, connection. Do you know, this is actually, I'm not big on the true thing, right? But this is true. You and me and everybody on the planet is on blue marble in the middle of nowhere, literally. Going nowhere, coming from nowhere really fast, spinning around like crazy. Everybody thinks they're alone. This is crazy. It's not a match for reality. We are all in this together in a way that is so profound. It's like, it's hard to even start talking about. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's just, oh my gosh. Right? So, I've noticed people are dying for light, love, and connection. It's possible. I accept you. I see connection. I see you. I hear you. I appreciate what you're dealing with. I got what you're committed to. I got what it's like for you. I heard you when you spoke. I see you. A connection. So, conscious relationships. Imagine being someone who is masterful. Let's talk about mastery. One way you can look at mastery is what's appropriate shows up. When it's appropriate to be accepted, you're accepted. When it's appropriate to listen, you're listening. When it's appropriate to be connected with someone, boom, you're right there, they feel it. Right? Mastery, right? Imagine being masterful at being with people such that they come to life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And guess who gets to be alive also?
I do.
Me.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Everybody plus everybody. Especially our okay. Got it. Double help each other. All right. So I want to create a little bit of background there, a couple little things. All right. I also have a belief, by the way, relationships fundamentally don't work. Settle it for a second. Given where we're at, it may sound a little discordant. Relationships fundamentally don't work. Like automatically, they don't work. Like, have you? By the way, how many couples do you know that you look at and go, ugh? I wish I had my version of their relationship.
No.
Like one or two or three, right? And that proves the point. How many couples do you know, and what's the ratio, right?
It's like 1% and 1%.
Yeah. So relationships fundamentally don't work. So here's the deal. If you choose to be in a relationship with a human being, as a human being, I don't know a lot, but there's one thing I do know. Craziness is on the way.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes. Yes.
what's the definition of a dysfunctional household? More than one person at the house at one time. Come on, keep up, keep up.
There's more than one.
So, if we're look, consciousness. I have another little. Wow, I love YouTube. YouTube is the most underrated resource on the planet. Another little thing I'm watching. I'll come back to that. So, people are crazy. Oh! Listen, conscious relationships. Conscious is such a beautiful word. Listen, I can prove that we're all unconscious almost all the time. Here it is. How much data do you think is coming into your brain on a daily basis?
500 million megabytes.
Exactly. Exactly. $5 later on the way out. Yeah, and listen, your brain has to edit almost all of it by this. It's got to. Your brain cannot handle all that data coming in. Ergo, you're unconscious. Except for maybe slivers here and there, and that's what we're here for. All right? Relationships don't work. People are crazy, by the way. I said that. People are crazy. Relationships don't work. We're not conscious. Most conversations are literally like two TVs pointing in the same thing. At each other. If you don't believe me, watch the next conversation you encounter. Just walk over here and listen. And see if person B is really listening to person A, and when they speak, see if it's an actual correlate to what just got said. And just don't do anything with it, just notice. Really don't do it.
What are we going to do? Don't put it.
Alright, this is coming along.
This is dramatic. We need to want to get better food.
Alright. So, people are crazy, relationships don't work, people are unconscious. Per Artemis, people are mostly in the past. People are also mostly in the future, controlling of people and situations to make sure all works out okay, so I'll be okay, right? People in the past, people in the future. People are, unconscious because that internal monologue in your head is always asking, is there something wrong here? Do I believe that? Do I like this guy? Do I trust this guy? You're not having a conversation with me. You're not listening to me. You're having a conversation with that voice in your head about what I'm saying. Right? I guess it's going okay so far because you're still here. Right? But mostly, you're kind of in a conversation with yourself about what's going on over here, unless you actually cause something about that. Right? Most people don't notice that. So, all that, right? That's what we're dealing with. That's a fraction of what we're dealing with. I have a couple ideas. So one is this little thing I like to call acknowledgement. So one thing is, what you have your attention on grows, it expands, it gets stronger. So, Hatham. Let's say Hatham and I are in a relationship. And I'm trying to get him to do 10 different chores. Does not. So I crank on him. Rah, 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 rah. Next time I give him a list, he does 1 out of 10. What happened to the other 9? Oh, okay. But that's not how it works. Okay, this is how it works. Every little thing he does right, it's my job to get up underneath it and acknowledge it. Make him feel great for doing the thing that I appreciate. If he does 1 out of 10, oh my God, you did 1! Win! Next week I'll get 2. Right? Next week I get 3. In 3 weeks that's 30%. Hey women, how long have you been working on so far? Right? So train by acknowledgement. Training is not a nerdy word. I pride myself on being trainable, even in a relationship. Tell me what you like, what you don't like. I don't get it. Explain it again. Okay, now they got so good. Oh, not like I want to know, and I want to be good at. I want to succeed, right? So acknowledgement is really the flaming sword of God in this respect, right? Every time you see somebody, notice somebody moving in the direction you'd like them to be, more patient, more loving, more kind, more generous, more connected, right? Hey, I noticed that. Thank you. That feels really good. By the way, complaining the same thing. Who are my complainers? Not one complainer. Come. Okay, good. I'm a little suspicious, but fine.
ones.
Same thing. Whatever you bring voice to expands. Right? It comes to that same thing, that little thing I did where person A is sharing and person B is into it, or person B is not into it. Imagine your whole life with person B not into it. A lot of us have been there, right? But complaining about the thing, complaining about you, complaining about life, complaining about traffic this morning. Hey, I want to have an intimate conversation with you. I don't care about the traffic. Sometimes, traffic's fine sometimes, but let's include other things in our conversation, right? So whether you're complaining, even internally to yourself, that brings a few more of you on board, doesn't it? Do I have the rest of you down? Even when you're complaining to yourself, you're manifesting that darkness. Not only are you physically upsetting yourself, which I know something about, right? Your mind is occupied, you're not present anymore, you're somewhere else, and then your loved one comes to talk to you, and you're the TV. Congratulations. Right? You're not there. So, acknowledgement is a beautiful steering wheel. Can you get that? Catch people doing things right. Now, what if you can't, there's nothing to specifically acknowledge? Be a little creative. I acknowledged you guys for being here tonight. And I created something about what it is for me, for you guys to be here tonight. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So it's not like I, saw something on his shirt and, oh, that's a really nice pattern on there. I thought about it, I created something, I crafted something, and I articulated it. That's an acknowledgement. And something is different after an acknowledgement than before. If you want somebody to be like, it could be a tricky thing, like I want somebody to be, right, a certain way. It's headed right at the codependent, controlling your future kind of vibe, right? But nonetheless, I want you guys to be open. I want you guys to be joyful. I want you guys to be powerful. I want you guys to fully be here. I want you guys to be present. I want you guys to actually try on what I say. And I want you guys to leave with a whole new future. I do want that. And I own my wanting of it. So given that, how can I at every moment increase my odds of that occurring for everybody in the room? Acknowledgement is one of your really big tools, you see? I observed you guys as people ready for life. I observed you guys, people who are looking up, if you will, ascending, learning, however that resonates with you. It's a beautiful thing. It's a rare thing. If you have any doubt, turn on the news. It's a really rare thing. It makes you guys special. All right, so I'm gonna where am I on time?
You have 20 minutes.
20 minutes. So, in this world, conscious relationships, the things that we're speaking about today, one of the things that really inspires me is this idea of partnership. So it's really, it's spoken of a lot, like in business world. Teams work well together, you can accomplish more as a team, ask for help if you need it. Like there's this whole conversation in the culture about team, and asking for what you need, and partnership, and we can work, we're bigger than the sum of our parts kind of vibe, right? But I don't really hear that so much in the relationship world. I'm not saying I haven't read a book with that in there, I'm saying I don't hear it much in the relationship. When people are talking about relationships, I don't hear like we're better together, we're creating our partnership, we're figuring out what our complementary strengths are, we're figuring out how to support each other. I just don't hear that much. I hear a lot of, I'm not getting that done. Right? I don't hear a lot of this little weird consciously created together. I also don't hear a lot of, here's what it is I delight in bringing to the relationship. Most people's 27-point checklist mostly includes stuff coming in this direction, as opposed to like a relationship. Two people partnership. So an iterational partnership I'm inspired by is imagine standing shoulder to shoulder, side by side with someone, facing in the same direction, looking at life, looking at an issue, looking at a possibility, looking at a problem, looking at an emergency, looking at a beautiful future. And both people are in communication, in the conversation, looking after themselves, looking after their partner, and having the relationships back. See, in my life, there's Kirk, there's Donna, and then there's this thing called Kirk Donna. And it's his own thing. And I tend to Kirk, because Kirk is not a great partner if Kirk is not well. So I tend to that. Exercise, diet, transformational studies, whatever. Being here tonight, you can say. Taking care of Donna. I learning the stuff that she likes, that empowers her, that makes her feel peaceful and safe, and I supply that where I can. And then this thing called a relationship. I don't let her do anything that would make me not like her anymore. Do you know what I mean? If, for example, this is not her, but in previous relationships, I might receive a text or an email I know is bad. They're way upset. And I know they've said something they're going to regret tomorrow. I just delete it. I don't want them to do something that's going to make me cut them off. I don't allow that. I just don't
read the whole thing.
I see the flavor. Super quick, delete.
Done.
I'll wait a day or so and I'll call them and hey, that just dropped. Maybe there's a conversation. Maybe not. Maybe it's still F you, great. Maybe not, right? There's a chance if I don't let them do the thing that kills the relationship, that's actually gracious. In my reality, I'm being gracious with them. Rather than accepting the gauntlet and giving it to them. Or accepting the slight and go off and be disempowered. Either way, it doesn't work. If you go off and take care of your wounds or attack, it doesn't matter. It's still a bad outcome.
Do you set a boundary there, or?
That is a boundary. I don't read it. That is a boundary.
Right.
I see it coming in, I don't read it. At that point, there's no communication, right?
Right.
It's not like, hey, that's not really good. It's not really. We're not doing that. Hey, when you have that urge, that might be tomorrow or a couple of days from now. But so it's an example of having the relationships back is really important, right? So it's not like I only have my attention on me. That would be dysfunctional in a particular way. It's not like I have all my attention over there. That would be dysfunctional in a particular way, right? And I don't know if it'd be dysfunctional not to have my attention on the relationship, but I do notice it really works. Like there's this third thing called a relationship. It actually is different than me, and it's different than not. Right? It has its own characteristics, and we're kind of new together, so it's evolving. But I have my attention on what is this going to be, and how can I nurture it like I would a person. So there's this idea of partnership, right? Like standing side by side, shoulder to shoulder, looking at an issue together. Both people generating conversations and possibilities so that both people are taken care of and the relationship's taken care of. Oh my gosh. Better together, better as a team, two heads working on the same thing. It's just like Skyrim. So that's really my ideal for partnership. And I try to create that wherever I can in business and personally, wherever. Like I look for ways two people can support each other and just, be in communication, try to work it out. So, I want to give you guys a worksheet. This is going to be pretty quick. So while I'm handing this out, I'd like you to think of a question in your mind's eye, if you will. It's going to be hard to do that and watch the paper move around the room, but just give it a shot. So ask yourself the following question. Of the relationships that you've been in, take one passing again. Take one passing again. Of the relationships you've been in, platonic or romantic, but romantic if possible, but it could be either. Of the relationships you've been in, what are the qualities you really, really, really appreciate? Take a moment and write them down.
If you need a pen, raise your hand.
So, of the relationships you've been in, what are the qualities of the individual or even the situation, that you just really remember and you just really appreciate it? As a warm, good feeling, which is write down at least 3 things, let's say. And look up when you're done. What's something that, I like 3 people that maybe shout out one thing. Adventure. Okay, adventure. Yeah. Sex. Okay, great. And just without being extra specific, without saying anything about sex, what is it that you like? Another word or two. It's imaginative, it's creative, it's
Her,
furious.
her desire to be generous, like
Right.
to be giving often and
Somebody's generous in the world of sex.
like always
Okay,
welcoming.
beautiful. Okay, beautiful. So at least 3, 5 or 6 is great, but this is 3 things. Same question, what are qualities that you did not like? The relationships you've been in, what are at least 3 qualities you did not go for? All right, listen. At least 3 if you don't mind. And I'd like to hear a couple. Judgmental,
He raises,
possessive, one more.
raises his voice.
Yeah, loud. Yeah, okay, great. Perfect. I'll give you a minute. Vindictive, great, I got that. Codependent.
Walk away.
Okay.
Clingy.
Clingy, great, write it down, write it down. And look, steal. This is one of the few occasions in the life where you're encouraged to steal. So if you hear something from someone else and it's you, write it down. Next question. Which of these let's call these characteristics, shall we? Which of these do you own? Which of these describe you? Give me one on the positive side, one on the negative
Yes.
side. Who wants to do that? One of each.
Okay, compassionate,
So you're compassionate
yeah,
and
maybe sometimes a bit.
okay, fine. Who's next?
Adventure and avoidance. Avoiding the situation.
Great.
Grace and resistance.
Right.
Touch and trigger.
What's the touch part?
That's the positive.
So in the relationship you had the experience of being touched?
Yeah.
Great. Got it. Okay, great. Okay, good. So you can see that there are characteristics that you appreciate, and characteristics that you don't, and you can also see that you own some in each category, yes? Does anybody not have a characteristic that describes them in both categories? Do you both have a not appreciated and appreciated characteristic? Yes? Okay. So, next fun little thing here. Which of those characteristics would you like to stop practicing?
Walking away.
Okay, good. What characteristic would you like to, since you've taken the time to look right at me?
Well, obviously codependence. I've
Codependence.
been practicing.
Okay, actually,
Stop
am I
practicing.
coaching for you to pick something else? Because you've already got that. You've already got that out. What's something that's actually winnable? Like you go, oh, I can take that out. Okay, start there. Controlling. So you're going to give up being controlling. Great.
Well, in the life category, I'm thinking about giving up passionate, in favor of patience.
I actually want it. Great, do that. If that speaks to you. I want you to comment on characteristics that you do not appreciate that you're willing to give up.
Okay, so resistance.
Right. Okay. Good. Now, does that mean when you see resistance in your mind's eye, and you're looking at you, can you see it? Like that's where I resist, and that's where I can give it up. Clear
When I
for you?
see it, I can't see it, but I can feel it in my body.
Okay. You're going to need access to knowing when to not resist. You get it? When to be accepting. You see that?
Yes.
One thing